righty, I know that you love visiting with friends, but I'm going to officially call this meeting to order at 11:25. And I am going to open with this devotion, and I will admit, some of you are going to say, haven't we heard this before? And yes, you have heard it in a form before because I liked it so much. I think it's the one I did last year. So here it is. It's based on Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, to give you a future with hope. And this devotional was written because it's telling the story of a smaller congregation which was actually losing over 10, 20 years the number of its members. Not much different than ours. Our numbers are smaller. And so someone said to this Pastor Bill, well, how do you stay so positive when your membership keeps shrinking? Aren't you afraid you'll close? But Pastor Bill just smiled and says, well, I don't know what you're talking about. We're not shrinking. We're growing, up 10% from last year. Can't be. I've seen your membership numbers down every year for the last 10. Well, Pastor Bill said, you count members, but we count touches. Anytime anyone in our church does something for someone else in the name of Jesus, that's a touch. A card sent, a phone call made, a meal delivered, a person delivered here to church, a donation to the food pantry. And our goal is to increase those touches. In the 5 years we've counted this way, we've grown every year. So that Pastor Bill's wisdom changed what the other person was thinking. And he decided 1 touch per day is too small. Maybe it should be 5. And then when my touches grow in number, I grow in faith. I hope you have felt some of that around you here at Bethlehem. I know for one, I am so glad that this church is now so often filled with groups that want to meet here. We are open to them, and they come and use our space, so it's not just an empty shell of a building. And the fact that we are reaching out more, and I'm sure you're going to hear more about in the visioning section of today. So I challenge you, to each of you, challenge yourself to give as many touches as you can. Thank you. And now I thank Gail, our vice president, for substituting as secretary today. And we need to verify that we have a quorum. And I know, thank you for all of you signing in, and the sheets will be counted, and I must say it is one of the highest numbers I think I have seen. So Gail, if you will just verify that. We have a quorum. Thank you very much. Now, additions or changes to the agenda. Is there anybody that doesn't have their agenda, which also has the minutes from last year's meeting? Those were on the table outside. Okay, I have one change because I made a typo. 2/3 down the page where it says Sustaining Endowment Fund Report. That was totally wrong. It was supposed to say solar report. So if you just want to scratch that out. It's not sustaining endowment. It is a report on our solar system. Okay. Anyone have any other additions or changes? All right. Seeing none, we need an approval, a motion to approve the minutes from June 16th, 2024. Okay, and Peggy makes that motion. Can I have a second? Okay, Jane makes a second. All righty, and now, any discussion on those minutes? Oh, you guys are so good. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? All righty. Now, nominating committee report for council and mission endowment and sustaining. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I will need one of the ballots from the back brought up to me because I neglected to keep one for myself. So, oh, Peggy. And first of all, does everybody have a ballot? If you don't, please raise your hand. So sorry, we were trying to catch everybody. Okay, keep those hands up. Oop. All righty, the nominating committee came up with the ballot you see here. And as I call your name, if you are here, if you would please stand or at least raise your hand and turn around so people can see you. Doug Cunningham. Thank you, Doug. Jana Rockney. Thank you. Bethany Ewell. Look at that, all in the front row. Thank you. And then for people that are serving 2 years of a 3-year term because we had 2 people who had to leave. And those people could not be with us today. I did submit photos. Did those? Oh, there they come. So John Halstead and Nancy Flasterer. And for the Mission Endowment Committee, we also have Jay Flasterer up there to your far right. And I must say, all of these people did want to be here today, but there just were extenuating circumstances. And then we also have Jim Hutchinson. Okay. And Patricia Leibenguth. There she is. Okay. And for Sustaining Endowment Committee, we have Paul Tan back there, and Dale Wensloff could not be with us. He'd be returning to that position. So we now need to see if there are any nominations from the floor for any of those positions. I do ask, please do not nominate anyone unless you have their permission, please, because that can get a little awkward and take some extra time. So, does anyone have any nominations for any of those positions? Okay. We thank all of these people for being willing to serve, and let's take a moment then. Oh, wait, I need to appoint the tellers for tallying our votes. And we have Jean Bowling and Steve Kramer who have agreed. Jean is back there and Steve is right there. So we thank both of you for being willing to do that. So you can now vote, and then we will continue on with the meeting. All right, and we will move on with a report from the Vision team, please.
Good morning. Friends, I do not have Sherry Hellman with me. She is exactly where she needs to be doing family stuff elsewhere today. But I have to say, I don't know whether I'm her right-hand person or she's mine, but there's no way that we would be able to have been able to do visioning without Sherry. She's incredible. So the next time you see her, just say thanks and give her a high five because she has done so much, and I know she would like to be here. There are a couple things. If you were not here on May 18th, raise your hand. You will not get a demerit if you were not here. Okay, so as you exit the sanctuary, if you were not here, we want you to take one of these color cardstock, really nice, nifty vision in action forms. This is for your fridge or someplace at home where you can kind of make it prominent and be reminded of what all is happening and has happened in our visioning program. And then please take a black and white version. It looks almost like the exact same document, except there's a spot for your name there. And we ask that you pick one of the 3 vision areas, just one, and circle that or check that box, whether it's social ministry and outreach, New Life Together, or creation care. I'll say a little bit more about those in a moment. But what we're looking for is for folks to kind of give us a general idea of which of those 3 teams that you'd like to be on. It doesn't require you to be a leader. It doesn't require you to do a ton of work. But it just kind of shows where your interest lies. And then underneath that, you could check as many as 4, as little as 1, of what are those activities that might entail. So if you check the social ministry and outreach box, you might circle on get involved and out into the community, for example. Or you might address LGBTQ community needs, or you could circle the working with the Safe Harbor and Baby Pantry. It's up to you, but we're just looking towards the future. We're looking at our vision, and by the way, our mission statement, I said vision in here, but I meant mission. We worship, work, and welcome, sharing God's love and grace with all. That is our new mission statement, and our vision is focusing on social ministry and outreach, New Life Together, and creation care. So if you can take one of these black and white sheets home with you, and just bring it back to the office whenever you get a chance. We'd like to see them this summer. That will give us an idea of who to contact for each one. So I'm going to move into what's next. So please take one of those forms if you didn't on May 18th. We had a very lively and exciting and fun vision in action on May 18th. If you went, you know what we're talking about. It was organized. Every 10 minutes, we switched tables. We had 3 tables, and the feedback was really good. I think that there were some pieces of feedback that I want to address. First, I know that these 3 categories do not say youth and young adults and kids. That does not mean that we don't want to focus on youth moving forward. What that does mean is our philosophy this time around was that if we focus on reaching out to one another and building up our relationships, that the youth ministry will keep going and organically grow. It's a different approach than last time, and we want to hear back from how it goes and what do you feel about that. But we wanted to address that we are every bit as active in wanting to move forward. We just have less numbers with youth than before, so we're trying a new approach to growth. Okay, these 3 groups. Why do we want to know what focus area you're interested in? We want to know because on God's Work Hands Sunday, which is September 7th of this year, we hope to, after worship, maybe he'll have a little something to eat and then break off into the 3 groups. So you can't be 2 places at once. And we want to have our very first core team meeting for all 3 core teams that Sunday. It won't be long. It's just like, hey, this is why I'm here. This is what are some of the things that we think we can do. And I'm really excited about it because God's Work Our Hands Day sometimes makes a little splash, sometimes it makes a big splash. And I think if we get rolling on our vision, the very first Sunday of the year, of the school year, I should say, it's going to be exciting. So, what are things that are already happening? That our previous vision has already brought us forth. Well, first of all, we mentioned the garden next door. That's in creation care. New life together. We're already seeing people want to start like dinner groups and things of that nature. We'll get more into what those things can be when you meet. But one thing that popped up during the week that this is not really part of our vision, but it kind of fits into the new life together, which is sort of new connections, is at the men's group the other day we talked about what would it be like, and by the way, the men's appreciation dinner was great. What would it be like if we added the words to the Christmas tea, and women's appreciation? What would happen if the guys did more of the planning to take some of the work off the women's shoulders? What would it take if the guys pulled together and said, hey, let's figure out a meal for that? Let's really show you guys, when I say you guys, I mean you gals, the appreciation that you gave to us. It's all good, friends. It's about new life together, and we want to have everyone feeling appreciated. So that's one thing that may not even be officially vision, but an idea that's got battered around. Finally, social ministry. What has already grown before we even started? Safe Harbor. Where's Tom? Tom has welcomed us to stretch a little bit more, okay, which is fantastic. So for vision, what we're hoping to do is this. The team has decided we, in our core principles, don't want to do too much. We want to do what we've always done and the things that organically are popping up, but we also want to focus on maybe 1 or 2 new things and not overstretch ourselves. Okay, and what those things are have everything to do with what the core teams come together and come up with. So, excitement is growing. Please take one of those sheets if you haven't, and let us know, if you haven't already, what your vision focus, where your juices are flowing, and look forward to continuing this on September 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Paul, for that report. And now, good thing you don't go far, because we also want to report on our solar system. Please.
Well, the first thing about the solar system that I'm aware is that Pluto is no longer a planet. It's a dwarf or something. I don't want to talk too much because I've already talked a lot today, but let me see if I can find the slide. I know you guys can't read this, that the print is really fine, and that's fine. But you will see it on the kiosk, and you'll be able to read it because it'll be a bigger print. This is kind of a breakdown of how things have gone. And long story short, because I want to invite Jim to come up here and say what I haven't said, we have on the kiosk a small real-time measure of how many kilowatts and megawatts we brought in and are bringing in at any given moment. And this is really important, guys, because by the time mid-June, tail end of June hits, we will have had the solar panels on our fellowship hall roof for a full year. And that we estimate somewhere 24 to 26 megawatts that we will bring in that we didn't have before. What's 24 to 26 megawatts? Maybe, Jim, you could tell us how that translates into to money. But we are thinking that we will save total per year roughly 25 to 30% on our power. Jim, I think, why don't you go? I don't want to say too much.
Well, I've been tracking the, what? Okay. I've been tracking the generation of power for, as financial secretary, because I'm interested in what is the value that we're getting. And this morning I looked at the data, and we've generated 23.8 megawatts of power. At the rate that the light and power values at, it's a little over 2,800. I think by the time June 20th runs around, we're going to be up to about 2,900, maybe 3,000. I think the original projections that the solar committee came up was running that the annual value of the power that would be generated was going to be between 3,000 and 4,500. So it looks like, yes, dollars. And it looks like we're going to be on target to what they had projected. A lot of it depends on if it's cloudy or not, whether you see any generation. You know, if we had sun all the time, we'd probably be towards that upper number. But I think we're seeing the savings that was projected.
Judy, did you have a question?
Yes. Does the haze from the wildfires in Canada Does the haze from the wildfires in Canada affect how much power we get?
The wildfire haze, I don't have a scientific answer, but my guess is it would be a little bit, probably.
Yeah, I think it does. What's really surprising is you can have cloud cover and you're still generating power. There's enough sun coming through the clouds that even on a cloudy day you're getting some, not that much, but like when the sun's out and and there's no clouds in the sky, you know, it's doing the job.
Yeah, and somewhere in here we have the average household uses 30 kilowatts a day, and we are bringing in that and more per day. So we're bringing in a lot of power, and that's good. The thing that you might be wondering, I know I'm wondering, is what's the status of our rebate? And Jim, I know we're waiting to hear back, sort of.
I got into doing that, doing the filing, did the pre-registration with the IRS for the tax credits. We engaged the services of Dennis, Gartland, and Nygarth to file the tax return electronically. The IRS accepted their filing, but we have not heard anything back yet. You know, how long it's going to take them to process and make sure everything's correct. I have no idea. I think if there was a problem, we'd get a letter and the accountant would get a letter. And so in some ways, no news is good news. You know, I'm not sure just what the process is. I'm sure they have to do a lot of checking and make sure it's a proper as far as the credits. What we filed for was it's over $53,000 of what we invested in the solar system. So we're looking forward to getting an answer on that.
Yeah. So I've been talking to other people in the field about this also. The good news is that the word is that if you did your work, if you put your panels up in 2024, there's a really good likelihood that we will get the rebate. If you did it in 2025, not as much. So we did ours in 2024. And the other good news is that we thought we would get anywhere from 30 to 40% back. And now because we found out Traverse City is in a sort of this special green community, we might get as much as 50% back. So that's wonderful. But as you know, there's kind of a new game in town, and there's a little bit of ambiguity about what might be clawed back and what might not. And so we don't have the definitiveness that we did maybe a year ago with conditions being different in Washington. But we are still very optimistic from what we've heard. Yep, thank you. Good suggestion. Do you guys hear that? Add the rebate to the prayer chain. Yeah.
That prayer chain does do amazing things, there's no doubt about it. All right, and now a report from the basement or lower level committee, please.
You know, sometime I'd just love to get up here and talk about something other than the basement. Okay. All righty. 1 year ago, we started our first meeting looking at the basement. It's hard to believe that this was going to happen. I thought that in 3 months we could have it done. Newsflash, it's not done yet. But I would just like to say that during this past year, my committee of boys, and that includes Doug and Steve Kramer, Carl, Jim, Pastor Paul, and our money guys, have really, really been working. And what we've done is, first was to explore what the problem was, and we imagined water leaking in through many, many crevices, and we were wrong on most of them. We spent time researching solutions and products, interviewing different vendors, and then we waited, and we waited. Finally, we decided that we would start cleaning out the basement. And you know, if anybody had walked down there, they would have thought, oh, there's nothing down here. Well, when you want to remove everything to get rid of the tiles, there was so much stuff. There was so much stuff, and an awful lot of it was about 30 or 40 years ago. And we know that because there were candlesticks that were wrapped in newspapers from the 80s. So yeah, and probably not used in between. We scheduled with a lot of people. We've already had the tiles taken out. We've checked to make sure that there are not certain molds in there. We found out that there's a lot of penicillin, and you know, maybe we could sell it or something, you know. But we've had some disappointments in scheduling, and that's tough. Mostly tough on our team because we were so anxious to, you know, have this week of energy, and so we're still in the waiting game. We remain, as I hope you will remain, positive. Already we have received $44,000 out of a $70,000 budget. We are hoping that we will get the 50% back on the solar panels, which is going to go into the coffers for the basement. So this is all really, really good news. And in the meantime, our committee continues to meet and keep ourselves updated on what's going on. And it is just a joy to be in a congregation where people understand their issues and are willing to tackle them and not put them off. Now, this was all wonderful news. Now it is time for Doug to tell us other stuff.
This is where I do the dance. So the big holdup in the delay currently on the project is Ayers Basement Systems inability to obtain the necessary permits. At first, the delay was they had an internal employee problem, but then when they had assigned another project manager to accommodate us. I reached out to him and I said, what's the holdup? Well, we're on our third engineering architectural firm. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, they declined to take on the project. This was May 30th. I'm having this most recent conversation with them. Although I will say this, since the end of April, I've been in touch with these folks weekly. So on the 30th, I suggested that it was very important. I says, we suggested, this is a team effort. We suggested that they reach out to local engineering firm here in Traverse City, Otwell Mawbey, who is very familiar with the plan review and permitting process in Grand Traverse County, and they have done that. So I anticipate we will have that cleared up in short order. Typically, the traditional and typical procedure for a project of this nature in an institutional setting is, like a school, medical facility, a church, is to engage with an architect and a general contractor who would then employ various subcontractors, and that's what we generally see. But in a means to keep the costs down, and at the recommendation of construction professionals, we engaged with a specialty contractor. We did meet with two. This firm had the best design, and that's why we proceeded. I mean, significant savings. If we had to go with a traditional route that most entities would have to do, our project cost would be significantly greater. But that's our holdup. Once we receive this, the appropriate permits, we'll get this scheduled, and it should go quickly, and then it's a matter of how much more we want to do internally or versus subcontracting out, i.e. painting, that sort of thing. I would be happy to entertain any questions that anyone might have. Seeing none. Oh, Norm, yes, sir.
Like what's the, if you could tell us what the, generally what the plan is. They're gonna dig a ditch and it's gonna have a sump pump or.
Okay, so from the end of the hallway downstairs in the lower level, along the corridor.
Along the wall or in the center?
Along the wall, so they will open up the floor 16 inches wide, 16 inches deep. They will remove the soil. They will place a layer of aggregate in there. They will put perforated tubing with a sleeve to keep the sediment out. It'll have like a screen sleeve. That will continue on into the boiler room, and it would end at the existing sump pump, which will be improved. That old crock will be removed, a new one will be in place. There will be a redundant pump put in there with greater capacity. An ejection line will then go up across the boiler room all the way to the exterior. We have a tunnel, there's a tunnel that goes below the gathering space a short distance, and it's for infrastructure like gas lines, that sort of thing. Anyway, the ejection line will go out that way. Additionally, in the boiler room, there's a series of trenches that follow the perimeter of the exterior wall. It's like an L shape. There'll be an additional sump pump in that location. It too will go up and out through that tunnel, exit the building. And out in the lawn area, there is a 100-gallon crock that will be underground, that's perforated with stone, and that's essentially it. It's basically whenever we receive hydraulic pressure from the ebb and flow of the bay, this will relieve it. It's just like a recirculating kind of thing. If the water's coming in, it'll just pump it out. It keeps the pressure off. It's all hydraulic pressure. And fortunately, knock on wood, haven't had any water so far this year. Any additional questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. I know it's been giving me a little heartache from time to time.
Oops. And I think we all really appreciate all the work that this team has done. Okay, I see one of our tellers in the back. Bring it on up. We have the results of the voting. Thank you. All righty. And as you may have expected, everybody wins. So, woohoo! All right. Thank you to all of them. And then I will entertain a motion to destroy the ballots from somebody, please. Okay, Barbara Wright made the motion, and I saw Doug had I saw his hand, then also he will second the motion. Any discussion? Discussion? Oh, no, you're ready to, okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All righty. I just want to thank, all of you should have received a packet from the back of church, either in the past few weeks or there were some on the table. If you didn't get one, please get one. And I want to thank all of the members who did such a wonderful job of preparing their annual report. I hope you get the time to read that. And then I would like to recognize members who are leaving council and/or committees. Paul Weimerschlag, who could not be with us. He has served as both vice president at one point and then secretary. I am leaving. And then from the endowment committees, Norm Fred, if you would raise your hand, please. And Neil Kibbe, back there. And Dave Pepler is leaving. Yep, he's back there. We certainly thank all of you for all of your years of service, so we can give them a hand too. I don't have it listed. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Didn't plan this, but probably should have. We are not going to do this justice, but I think that, Cindy, you're trying to recognize folks, and one of those people is you, and I think we need to, and hold your pause for just a second. I want to tell you how an amazing, amazing job you've done, Cindy. I mean, you think about, you've had 2 terms, and you have shepherded some really, really big things that we have done, not the least of which we've just heard 3 reports for. This is not easy to sort of figure out what the through line is for all the various viewpoints and all the things. You deserve lots of appreciation and at very least a huge round of applause. Can I give you a hug?
Oh, sure.
Thank you, Cindy. You're awesome.
Thank you. Oh, I got to go hug everybody. Okay. I would, though, what I wanted to do was just to have anybody who has served on council or a committee this year to please stand up also, because you have done amazingly hard work, and all the people on the basement committee also. But endowment committees and council, please stand up and also be recognized. Yes, thank you so very much. I will tell you that one of my 2-year goals that we didn't quite get done, we are working on an updated Constitution. And so far, at least it's all gone from paper to being online, but there are still some things that have to be added that happened in just the recent Synod meeting and are happening. So you can look for that within the next year, though, to have a new Constitution to look at and be approved. Any other congregational comments or questions? If you do, please go to the microphone, unless you cannot get there, and then we'll bring a mic to you. Anything at all? Okay, well, seeing none, then Pastor Paul, you get to come and pray us out, please.
One of the Psalms that is very meaningful for my family throughout the years and generations is Psalm 8. So I want to read that as our closing prayer. It's also one of the Psalms that begins and ends the same way. So as we think of creation care, as we think of the 2 different solar systems that we are engaged with, and God in the cosmos, and how God is mindful of us, we pray. O Lord our God, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You whose glory is chanted above the heavens, out of the mouths of infants and children, you have set up a fortress against your enemies to silence the foe and avenger. When I consider your heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars you have set in their courses, what are mere mortals that you should be mindful of them, human beings that you should care for them? Yet you have made them little less than divine. With glory and honor you crown them. You have made them rule over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet, all flocks and cattle, even the wild beasts of the field, the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, and whatever passes along the paths of the sea. O Lord our God, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Amen.
Thank you. And now I just want to say, we are done in less than an hour. That's got to be a first for a congregational meeting. And I declare this meeting officially adjourned at 12:09. Have a wonderful rest of the day and a